On a chilly autumn night in 1998, in a quiet suburb of Houston, Texas, a young couple named Lisa and Mark, whose names have been changed, had just finished a romantic date night at a popular Italian restaurant. They were celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary and felt incredibly happy. As they left, around 11 p.m., Lisa got into the passenger seat of Mark's car. They chatted happily about their wonderful evening, sweet memories flooding back and bringing smiles to both their faces. Mark started the car and slowly drove out of the restaurant's parking lot. The road home was quite deserted at this hour. The dim yellow streetlights shone down on the smooth asphalt road, creating long, winding streaks of light. Tall trees surrounded them, standing silently in the darkness. The atmosphere was so quiet that Lisa could clearly hear the soft music playing from the car radio. When the car had gone about halfway, Mark suddenly slowed down. Lisa asked in surprise, "What's wrong, honey?" Mark frowned slightly. Looking ahead, "I just saw something cross the road. Really fast." Lisa looked in the direction Mark was pointing, but saw nothing but darkness and rows of trees. She reassured her husband, "You must have seen things. It's late." Mark still seemed a bit doubtful, but he didn't say anything more and continued driving. They drove a little further, when suddenly Lisa felt a strange coldness spread through her body. She shivered, even though the temperature inside the car was still quite warm. Lisa looked at Mark, noticing he also seemed a bit tense. "Are you cold, Mark?" she asked. Mark nodded, his voice a little lower. "Yeah." Suddenly got a chill down my spine. Just then, they both saw a figure standing on the side of the road, not far from their car. It was a tall, gaunt figure, wearing a loose, black outfit. The person's face was obscured in the darkness, but Lisa could sense an aura of gloom and dread emanating from him. Mark quickly stepped on the gas, trying to drive past the person as fast as possible. But as the car passed by, Lisa suddenly got a clearer look at the stranger's face. It was a pale white face, without any expression, with black, hollow eyes staring at them with a gruesome hatred. Lisa screamed in horror, clutching Mark's arm tightly. Mark was also frightened. He pressed hard on the accelerator, and the car sped away at breakneck speed. Lisa turned her head to look back, but the man was nowhere to be seen. It seemed he had vanished into the darkness. Both husband and wife were silent, trying to calm down after the terrifying moment they had just experienced. They didn't know who that man was, but they were sure he wasn't a normal person. After escaping the terrifying figure on the side of the road, Lisa and Mark didn't dare speak much. Both felt an indescribable unease. They tried to calm down and believe it was just some strange pedestrian they had encountered. But the image of the pale white face with hollow black eyes still haunted Lisa. As the car turned onto a more deserted stretch of road, with no streetlights, darkness enveloped everything. Only the car's headlights illuminated the road ahead. Lisa felt more worried. She looked around, trying to find any sign of that strange man. Suddenly, Mark braked sharply, causing Lisa to almost hit her head on the windshield. "What was that, honey?" Lisa asked in panic. Mark pointed ahead, his voice trembling. "Look there." Lisa looked in the direction Mark was pointing and was horrified to see a dark figure standing in the middle of the road, blocking their way. The shadow was taller and gaunter than before, and this time, they could see its shape more clearly. It was a bizarre creature, neither human nor animal, with long, spindly limbs and a distorted head. The creature stood silently, staring at their car. Its eyes glowed red like two embers. radiating a terrible hatred and malice. Lisa screamed in horror, clutching Mark tightly. Mark tried to reverse the car, but unfortunately, the engine stalled. He kept turning the key, but the engine remained silent. Both husband and wife felt hopeless. They were trapped between the darkness and the terrifying creature approaching them. The creature slowly walked towards the car, its heavy footsteps echoing in the silent space. As it got closer, Lisa could see the horrifying details of its body more clearly. Its skin was wrinkled and ashen like a dead person's, and its face was covered in crisscrossing scars. Its fingernails were long and sharp like the claws of a wild beast. Lisa and Mark held each other tightly, closed their eyes, waiting for the worst to happen. They heard the sound of the creature's claws scratching against the car body. Gruesome scraping noises echoing just outside the windows. Lisa felt like her heart had stopped beating. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed, as if something very heavy had hit the roof of the car. Lisa and Mark startled and opened their eyes. They saw the creature hovering in the air above their car. It was using its long, spindly limbs to slam hard on the roof, creating terrifying sounds. Lisa and Mark screamed in desperation. They didn't know what to do to escape this situation. They felt like they were trapped in a terrifying nightmare with no way out. The bizarre creature continued to slam hard on the car roof, the deafening sounds making Lisa and Mark feel like the car was about to be torn apart. They closed their eyes tightly, trying to cover their ears to block out the terrifying noises. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed, and Lisa felt the car shake violently. She opened her eyes and was horrified to see that the creature had used one of its long limbs to smash the front windshield. Shards of broken glass flew everywhere, embedding in Lisa's skin, causing her to scream in pain. The creature thrust part of its body inside the car, its glowing red eyes staring intently at Lisa with utter delight. Its breath was cold and foul, like the smell of a corpse. Lisa felt utter terror. She knew this creature was not something normal. Mark tried to kick the car door open to escape, but the door was jammed. He turned to Lisa, his face pale with fear. "What do we do now?" he asked in desperation. Lisa shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. She didn't know what to do. The creature slowly brought one of its sharp claws towards Lisa's face. She closed her eyes tightly, awaiting death, but then, a terrifying roar echoed, and Lisa felt a strong force pull the creature out of the car. She opened her eyes and saw another dark figure, larger and more terrifying, wrestling with the bizarre creature outside the car. The two monstrous shadows grappled on the road, creating gruesome sounds. Lisa and Mark watched in horror at the battle between the two supernatural forces. They didn't understand what was happening, but they felt that perhaps the newly appeared dark figure was trying to protect them. The fight happened very quickly. In the end, the larger dark figure subdued the bizarre creature. A painful scream echoed, and the creature vanished into the darkness. The larger dark figure also disappeared immediately afterward. Lisa and Mark sat silently in the car, trying to recover from what they had just experienced. They didn't know what those two creatures were and why they had attacked them, but they knew they had just escaped a terrible danger. After the two dark figures vanished, Lisa and Mark remained motionless in the car, unable to believe what had just happened. They looked at each other, their faces pale and filled with fear. Finally, Mark regained his composure and tried to restart the car. This time, the engine started. Mark drove home quickly, not daring to stop or look back. Both husband and wife were silent, trying to shake off the terrifying images they had just witnessed. When they got home, they hurriedly locked the doors and hid in the bedroom, not daring to go out until morning. The next morning, Lisa and Mark decided to find out about the road where they had encountered the strange events the night before. They searched for information online and asked local residents. They discovered that that stretch of road had a dark history. In the 1970s, a tragic traffic accident occurred on this road, killing an entire family. People rumored that the spirits of those who died in the accident still lingered in the area and often appeared at night. Lisa and Mark felt a chill when they heard this story. They thought maybe the bizarre creature they had seen was one of those unfortunate spirits. But what about the large dark figure that had saved them? They continued to investigate and discovered another, more terrifying story. According to local residents, in the 1930s, a series of murders had occurred on this road. A serial killer had kidnapped and murdered many people, then dumped their bodies along the road. People said that the spirits of those victims still haunted the area and sometimes appeared to seek revenge. Lisa and Mark didn't know which dark figure had attacked them and which had saved them, but they felt that they had perhaps inadvertently encountered an evil force lurking on that road. Since that night, Lisa and Mark never dared to drive on that road at night again. They always took a detour, even if it was a bit longer, to avoid encountering similar horrors. But the images and sounds of that night still haunted them. Lisa often had nightmares about the bizarre creature with glowing red eyes and sharp claws. Mark also became quieter and more easily startled. They tried to forget what had happened, but they knew that night had changed their lives forever. They had witnessed a terrifying supernatural force firsthand, and they could never look at the world the same way again. As time passed, Lisa and Mark's lives gradually returned to normal. They tried not to mention what had happened that night, but the terrifying memories always lingered deep in their minds. Lisa began to have strange dreams. She often dreamed of driving on that dark road, and the bizarre creature would reappear, chasing their car. In her dreams, she always felt utter fear and would often wake up in a panic. Drenched in sweat, Mark wasn't doing much better. He became irritable and more easily angered. He often suffered from insomnia and always felt like someone was watching him. He no longer dared to drive alone at night. Both husband and wife knew that they were haunted by what had happened. They tried to seek help from friends and family, but no one truly understood what they had experienced. They felt lonely and helpless. One day, Lisa happened to read a newspaper article about supernatural phenomena on the road where they had the encounter. The article told of many other people who had also seen strange dark figures and experienced terrifying events on that stretch of road. Lisa felt a bit of comfort knowing that they weren't the only ones who had encountered this. She decided to contact the people who had shared their stories in the article to learn more. Through those conversations, Lisa learned that that road had become a hotspot for supernatural phenomena for many years. Many believed that the spirits of the victims of the accident and the serial murders still lingered there, causing terrifying things to happen to those who passed by. Lisa also learned that the large dark figure they had seen might have been a protective spirit. Someone who had died on that road and was trying to prevent other evil forces from harming innocent people. This information somewhat reassured Lisa and Mark. They understood that they were not alone in their fight against supernatural forces. They decided to face their fears together and find ways to protect themselves. After learning more about the dark history of the road, Lisa and Mark decided to seek help from experts in the supernatural field. They contacted a well-known paranormal investigation team in the area and told them what had happened. The paranormal investigation team was very interested in Lisa and Mark's story. They agreed to go to the road to conduct an investigation and gather evidence. One night, they returned to that deserted stretch of road with Lisa and Mark. The investigation team used various specialized equipment to record supernatural phenomena, including EMF meters, thermal detectors, and audio recorders. They also placed cameras in different locations to capture anything unusual that might occur. Throughout the night, they recorded many strange phenomena. The EMF meter fluctuated erratically. The thermal detector registered sudden cold spots, and the audio recorder captured faint whispers that they couldn't understand. Around 3 a.m., while everyone was gathered at a spot where many people had reported seeing the dark figure, they suddenly saw a blurry figure appear in the middle of the road. It was a tall, gaunt figure, like the man Lisa and Mark had seen the first night. The figure stood silently for a few seconds, then slowly moved towards the investigation team. Everyone felt a cold and terrifying presence engulf the area. A member of the investigation team tried to communicate with the spirit, but there was no response. Suddenly, the figure vanished, but immediately after, they saw another dark figure, larger and more terrifying, appear on the opposite side of the road. This dark figure let out a terrifying roar, causing everyone to feel horrified. The investigation team quickly packed up their equipment and left the road. They had gathered a lot of evidence showing that supernatural forces were active in this area, and they believed that Lisa and Mark had indeed encountered something very dangerous. After analyzing the collected evidence, the investigation team concluded that the road was haunted by many different spirits, including the victims of the accident and the serial murders. They also believed that the large dark figure Lisa and Mark had seen might have been a protective spirit trying to fight off other evil forces. The investigation team advised Lisa and Mark to stay away from that road at night and find ways to protect themselves from supernatural forces. After receiving advice from the paranormal investigation team, Lisa and Mark moved to a different part of the city. They hoped that by changing their living environment, they could escape the terrifying haunting. Their lives gradually returned to normal, but the memories of that horrifying night always lingered in their minds. Lisa still occasionally had nightmares, and Mark always felt uneasy whenever it got dark. They tried to find ways to cope with their fear. They sought help from psychologists for counseling and treatment. Gradually, they learned to control their negative emotions and face their painful memories. However, they knew that what they had experienced was real, and the supernatural world always existed around us, containing mysteries and terrifying things that humans cannot fully comprehend. Lisa and Mark never forgot that fateful road. Whenever they heard someone mention ghost stories, they remembered the terrifying night they had gone through. They knew they were lucky to have survived, and they would always cherish their lives more. Lisa and Mark's story is a warning about the potential dangers lurking on deserted roads at night. Always be careful and vigilant, because sometimes, the scariest things are hidden in the places we least expect. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel to follow our latest videos. We will bring you more terrifying and haunting stories. Thank you for listening.